Good day. Nick from Vulcan Gun Refinishing here. We got ourselves a 1943 Union Switch and Signal 1911A1 to be restored / rebuilt. From what I've been able to gather, Union Switch and Signal only manufactured about 55,000 of these. So that makes this about the second rarest of all the 1911A1s. Singer, of course, being the rarest with 500. This one here, you can verify for sure it's a Us&S just by that serial number block. It's got the United States property markings. 1911A1, U.S. Army. It's got a Springfield Armory rebuild stamp on it. So it's been rebuilt at least once. Just going to flip it over real quick and we'll look at the Us&S markings. Moving nice and slow. So we got Us&S Company, Swissvale, Pennsylvania, USA. And there's their unique, very easily identified Us&S trademark stamp. So at first glance, we can see right away, get the camera to focus in again, we can see right away that the slide on this one has been Parkerized, which isn't proper. All these were blued, black oxide. I know most 45s in World War II were Parkerized, but Singers definitely weren't, and Union Switch and Signals definitely weren't. Just going to move in a little bit closer, and you can start to see the graining in the metal. You can see the heavy graining marks in that metal. You can see it all in here, all the drag lines. I can duplicate that. I've got the tool to do that, so that's not a problem. As far as I know, Us&S was the only one that did that on the sides of the slides. Everybody else was just either a bead blasted or a sandblasted finish. But Us&S has that unique graining. We can see from here the slide serrations look good. Don't see any big issues there. All the lettering looks good on this side. Don't see any pitting here on this side. You can see the World War II, it's a little hard to see with the camera, but it's spot hardened right there. You can see it's slightly different color around there. And you can definitely see on the slide, especially if I maybe turned at a bit of an angle, you can see the definite two-tone. You can see where it's lighter here and darker here. So that's unique to World War II pistols once again, where they spot harden the front of the slide to get better wear, longer service life. So this side, if we get in close, we can see, get this camera to catch up to us a little bit here. Okay, beautiful. Now this side, once again we can see these serrations are quite nice. A few little tiny little marks, but nothing much. We can clean that up in a hurry. See a few little issues on the back of the slide back here, a few little dings and marks. If we work our way along, we can see, once again, we can see that graining, that heavy graining. But we can also see, for example, there's a ding there, a little mark, another one there, another one there. There's a few along that edge there. Just a few little bits and bumps just around the, the edges. Looking nice and sharp here. This line looks good, so this thing's never been polished or re-blued. We can see, I'll go into a little more detail in a minute, we can see a little bit of surface rust from pitting. You can see a little bit of pitting just poking its head over the edge of that line there. So, and wartime production too. You can see the front edges of the slide from just quick manufacturing. They weren't that picky about making them perfect up there. So they got a bit of material ground or polished away. You can see the end of the slide isn't perfectly nice and straight. It's got lazy corners where they've removed too much material. And that's common with World War II production. Some manufacturers were a little less careful than others. You see a few little minor dings. And once again, you can see how they buffed more material away from the edge. Moving in close, we can definitely see too that not only is the slide wrong, being parkerized, but the frame has obviously been painted. There's spray paint on that frame. That's not pitting we're seeing, although it could be pitted under that spray paint. We don't know that. So that frame looks pretty hokey right now. We have no idea what we're going to find under that paint. No idea at all. You can just see the mess that is. The painted frame. Very hokey. Same way on the other side, obviously. I mean, here the paint's been chipped away, and they just kept putting more paint on top of it. So it makes you think they were in England working on an infield or something. So obviously that frame, I can't make any determination at this point. It's going to have to be bead blasted, and that painted finish is going to have to be removed, and then we can possibly give some kind of determination as to what shape the frame is in. I'm just going to reposition my camera a little bit, and we'll have a little bit closer look at this thing, a little bit more detail. Alright, so now we're going to look at it with just a little bit more detail, especially on that slide. Underneath there you can see we've got a little bit of, get this in a different position, you can see we've got a little bit of some issues going on here, a little bit of fine pitting. See if I can get the camera to cooperate a little bit. Hang on, let me get a little cooperation from our camera. Here we go. There we go. That's better. So now, yeah, there you can see that darkened spot better. See that darkened spot on the slide stop where it was spot hardened? You can see it better now in this lighting. You can see how dark it is, that little half circle. So anyway, just want to have a little bit closer look now, and we can see, a little bit of damage, some pitting going on there on the bottom of that slide. A little bit of damage up the very front. Some more pitting. There's some pitting right there. You can see that pitting right there. So that's going to have to all be repaired. And we got a few little issues on the front. Just a few little bumps and bangs on the very front, but that's typical. We're going to be most likely changing that recoil spring plug because it's worn. So as far as I want to have a good look at the condition of the metal up here on the top of the slide. As we can see, as this camera's starting to come in and focus, we can see all the pitting. It's terrible amount of pitting going on there. Just see it as I work my way along the slide as I move my way towards the front of the slide. So just see how pitted that is. So that's all going to have to be filed out or filled, or I'm going to bead blast this to get a true picture, but I just want to have a preliminary look. You can see it's a little ding or something right there in the metal. Just going to spin this thing over a little bit. So got a little ding there in the middle. Let me just move my camera a little bit better positioning here. Okay, there. So there we get a really good look at that pitting. Really good look. As I say, it's quite pitted. So it's all got to be fixed. Whatever it's going to take is what we're going to have to do. If it needs weld, fine. If it doesn't, but she's pretty pitted. You can see as I rotate that, we got lots of issues, lots of pitting going on. So, and it's creeping over the side. It's getting into the flat part of the slide there. You can see a few rust pits have worked their way down. So that means I'm going to be into the side a little bit. So we're probably going to be disturbing that brush finish. Well, besides that, as I said earlier, we've got got a few of these minor little marks along the bottom here. They're going to have to be worked on. So once again, serrations are looking pretty good. We got minor marks there, very minor. Got a dent in the frame right there. See that dent right there? That'll have to be addressed. The slide's looking pretty good. You know, a few minor marks along that rear edge there. We're looking good up here. We don't really seem to have any rust issues at all up here. Rear side is nice, although we're going to be removing it so I can get the top of the slide wide open so I can file it. That'll mean the front side's going to come off too. Although it's got a few little marks, and we'll probably replace the front side, probably put a new front side on. There's more, in close, let our camera catch up. We've got more rust pitting right there. You can see that right up the front. I move in nice and slow. So we definitely got some rust work ahead of us. Around the ejection port, we got our usual. You can see the little marks, dings, and stuff along the edge of that ejection port. There's that one little ding at the front again that I pointed out to you a minute ago, right there. We got our typical little, you know, marks from cases and cases being ejected and banging on this edge, so that's a little bit chipped up. So this side, once again, we just got a little bit of minor dings. Well, that one's not quite so minor. Got some issues right there. A bit of damage right there, but another one there. You know, and that line's been banged on a little bit. That'll have to be cleaned up. So pitting is not a big issue on this side. You know, very minor. Looks like a little bit right up at the top. Might be that might be a little bit of pitting. A little bit of pitting right there that I got to deal with. Serrations are looking pretty nice. No real major issues. Focus, yeah. No big deal. That's looking pretty good. Serrations are hard to do, so that pretty much covers the slide. Like I say, we got some pitting. Now we can't, I think maybe I mentioned this earlier, we can't anneal and reharden this. Sometimes when we do welding, afterwards we anneal the metal and reharden it, and it helps blend in the new metal with the old. And also, if the metal is hard, really hard, it needs to be annealed just to soften it so it can be worked on. But in this particular case, we've got two things. One is we don't want to lose this two-toning. That two-toning is just so important in the look of a World War II pistol, and especially Us&S. They're worth so much that you can't lose that. The whole value would be scrapped if you were to lose that two-toning. So whatever we do to this slide, if we have weld added, you know, for example, if we come in and we add a little bit of weld, say to that spot right there, let's see if I can get a little bit of cooperation again. Then we can, okay, there we go. We can come in and, like I say, if we got to add some weld, we'll do it. But we can't anneal it. That's the point I'm making. We can't anneal this piece because we'll lose all the two-tone. Just trying to get it to focus again, but it's being a little bit persnickety. But anyway, that gives us a pretty good idea, you know, of condition of that slide. Now, just want to have a little bit closer look now at that frame. You can see as I turn it just how crappy that paint job looks on there, but no idea, once again, of what the metal is going to look like. Could be pitted to death underneath that paint. We don't know. But we're going to go ahead and get it bead blasted. That's the next step, is to tear this pistol down. I just want to have a quick preliminary look. The other thing also unique to Us&S's, move in close here, is there's no cross cannon cartouche back here. Us&S's apparently did not put a cross cannon cartouche there. So, and more of that wonderful paint. Just looks exquisite, doesn't it? This has got also, it's got no reinforcing rings around the screws. So those kind of rare grips. Now I don't know if that's proper for a Us&S. You know, there's a little bit of damage here and there on some of them grips. They're not quite perfect, but they're you know, they're decent and they're quite scarce. So you can see a few places I turn it where some of the checkering has been flattened out and damaged. Yeah, they're just plastic grips, so they don't take a lot of hard use without showing some damage. So once again, the other side has got a matching non-reinforced grip, so that's good. A little bit of flattening of the checkering right there, but once again, not horrible. But yeah, that paint is just, that frame is just scary. But we'll get into it. We'll find out what the issues are shortly. The other thing I noticed with this pistol right off the bat is it should have all checkered parts. And if we move in slow, you can see, okay, it does have a checkered mag release, although it's so worn that I think we'll be changing that out for sure. But the trigger is serrated, which is improper. All these parts actually. You got your slide stop serrated, that's wrong. You got your safety, that's serrated, that's wrong. Hammer's wrong. Mainspring housing is wrong. It's serrated. At least it's military. It's got a lanyard loop on it, but it's the wrong one. It should be checkered once again. And this certainly looks like got some pitting or something going on there. So unless it's more of that wonderful paint, but I'll bead blast it. We'll use it on another project possibly. And then that grip safety obviously is wrong because it's cast. You can see the seam in it, so that'll have to be changed out. So most of the small bits and pieces then are wrong. They'll have to be changed. So, but I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to get it torn down. Take it right down, degrease it. Oh, I want to have a quick look at the mag too while we're at it. The mag, apparently, from what I can tell, is just an oogie boogie. It has no markings. There's nothing on the toe to indicate any World War II heritage or manufacturing. There's nothing down here. There's no markings anywhere on the mag. So I'm assuming it's just a run-of-the-mill oogie boogie 1911 mag. Nothing fancy, nothing rare. Like I say, I don't see any markings. So, but we'll reblue it and throw it back in. So one day maybe he can get you know, a mag with the proper markings on it. I haven't looked inside the gun yet to see if it's got the right barrel or if any of the other internal parts are proper or not. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get this thing torn down, and we're going to see what it looks like, and I'll get back to you shortly. Alright, so we've got our Us&S degreased. We just disassembled it, degreased it all. I just want to have a better look at all the internal parts. Right off the bat, as I took the grips off, I noticed the grip screw bushings on this side were just, well, it's hard to explain. They were just caked with some kind of white goop. I don't know whether it's a type of glue or something. I don't know whether we're going to find those holes stripped. I'm going to bead blast this. I just wanted you to see it before I went to that next step. I just don't know what all this white crap is. It was only on one side. The other side was fine. The grip screw bushings are fine. But this one side, the grip screw bushings are all buggered up, stripped and marked, and so I don't know what the problem is. But in any event, no major surprises, you know, in the frame. A lot of the internals are very rusty and poorly cared for. So probably can't get a good focus with those parts in the background, I guess. It's confusing the camera. But anyway, I just wanted to have a quick look at this stuff before I go ahead and once again, all rusty. Inside the mainspring housing, the spring and plunger, everything was all rusty. So not the greatest amount of maintenance or care has been taken, you know, with this pistol. This is all pitted, badly pitted. The firing pin is really pitted. So you're replacing that. And most of the springs are kind of rusty and dry, and the barrel I'm not a world's authority on 45 barrels, so bear with me, but it's got a marking on it that looks like it says, I don't know if you get a good look at that, it says T, it looks like T right there. That's the only markings I can see anywhere on this barrel. It's got beautiful bore. Bore is nice, clean, shiny, you know. It's a pretty good barrel, but it's not the right barrel. This should have a high standard barrel in it, and it doesn't. So we've got to go looking for parts. We've got to get parts. If you'll notice, I don't have any of all those serrated parts that we had. I don't have any of them here because I didn't bother. We're not reusing them, so they're just going in the back to the customer, or if he wants to you know, sell them to me, I'll put them in the spare parts bin. Good parts, just serrated instead of checkered. And once again, you know, all your disconnectors and sears, everything is just kind of rusty and dry, and so everything's going to be bead blasted, and we'll see how she looks. That piece looks fine. You know, a lot of pieces on this are just beautiful, but grip screw bushings screws will all be cleaned up, and if the slots are bad, I'll clean them up, and so we'll make it look nice. Mag is fine. Everything's fine. As I said, we talked about that earlier. So got the front and rear sight removed. So I'm going to go ahead and bead blast the frame and the slide for now. The barrel we're just going to leave out. No point in bead blasting that. We're not going to be reusing it. So, but all these parts that we see here, with exception, okay, maybe with that we might not use that either. But I think everything else we've got here, we will be able to reuse, and any missing parts, we'll have to just start tracking them down. So anyway, I'm going to get the frame and slide bead blasted. I'm dying to see what they really look like, so I'll be back shortly. Well, we certainly found out some surprises after we bead blasted this. I was assuming that roughness in all that stuff was strictly because of the paint that was on there. I'll pull this out of the background. But now we can see, as we're getting up close, we can see that's actually in the metal. That pitting, this has been bead blasted now, so there's nothing left on here. You can just see the horrible condition of that metal. Wow. Just terrible. Pitted. The lettering is already kind of weak. We can see by the amount of filing we're going to be doing on this side that we're going to lose that lettering. There's no way around it. I can't save that lettering. Not with that much filing going on. We're going to lose the SA. We're going to lose... Now the serial number is nice and deep, and there's not much pitting going on right around that serial number, and thank God it's so deep. So we should be able to get away with that okay. But that US property, and then there's even a mark or a pit, whatever, right there. So another one right there. But just look at the condition of that metal. Look at the shadows that I'm creating as I'm moving along. I mean, this is horrible. Good news, all that white stuff. I don't know what all that white stuff was around here, but you know, I can see, turn it sideways, I look all the way around through that hole. The threading is all good in that grip screw bushing hole, so I don't know what all that white goop was around there. Just no idea. But just look at the metal. Look at the pitting of that metal. Look at that along that back end of that frame where that grip goes. It's just horrible. Jesus. Good thing it's a Us&S, because it might not be worth saving any other one, because this is going to be a bit of labor here. I mean, it's just total junk. Pitted, and pitted. Just look at that. Look at that. Just look at that mess. Wow. So, look at that. Jeez, Murphy. So we got some work ahead of us. There's no question about that. Look at that. Rust, and more rust. Just terrible. That plunger tube too, it's not round anymore. It's been banged on and flattened, so I'll be removing that. It's going to be in my way for filing anyway, so it's got to come off, but we'll put a new plunger tube on at that time. And you can see now that the paint is removed, that finger cutout is really soft and lazy. So same with that line. That line is just about gone, almost gone. So edges of the trigger, that's all pitted. Just there, the bottom of the trigger guard is all pitted. Front of it's pitted. Everywhere. Just there's not 1 centimeter on this thing that isn't pitted. Just look at that. Just terrible. Wow. So this one's going to be a challenge. Plus I got to try and get that line back again. That line is so faded and dull. It's that line right there. It's not even there anymore. That one's a little bit better, but I have a theory. I'm going to offer a theory here. I'm going to stick my foot in my mouth and offer a theory. Just want to look at that just a little bit more for a second before I shoot my mouth off. I mean, even on the inside, even where the mainspring housing slides up, even the edge of the frame on the inside. Look at this lip is all rotted, all eaten away and rotted. That's all going to have to be repaired. Just on and on, just terrible. So, as I said earlier, no way we're saving them markings. This is getting all new laser markings other than the serial number, because we're going to have to file quite a bit of meat off there to try and get all that straightened out and get rid of all that pitting. But just look at, just everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Wow. So this one's going to be an interesting one. Every square inch is going to have to be refiled. Every square inch. Wow. But that's what I'm here for. That's what keeps me busy. So, even on the inside too. The inside is rusted. See that? Inside that frame. Almost like this frame laid somewhere. It just rusted everywhere. Pitted everywhere. So, look at that. Pitted, and pitted. Now, and it down in there, look at how pitted that is. But the other thing I'm noticing, and you can probably see it in the video here, is that you can see traces of copper. On some of those edges, there's traces of copper. You can see it. So it leads me to believe, here's my theory. I think this thing was buffed. This frame, at least, was buffed and maybe nickel plated at one time. And that would explain, you know, some of the lines being buffed away. You know, they were more careful on this side buffing because they had all the nomenclature they were worried about. So they didn't buff as much. So they didn't destroy that line so bad, or this line, because they didn't buff too much. But on this side, where they didn't have really anything in their way, they buffed and buffed. And you can see there's nothing left of the lines now. They're just shot. And the other thing that leads me to believe, well, and plus the copper, the remnants of copper. There'd be no excuse for copper to be on this frame. None at all, except if it was plated. You can see it really good there. I even tried scraping it. You see where I took a knife and I tried scraping just to see if there was something I could make come loose. Because you can actually see, I don't know if you can see it, you can actually see the copper. You can see the original layer of steel. It's like a bright silver. Then you see that thin edge of copper. Then you see the darker layer of metal. So it almost made me think that there was still a layer of something on here. And what I'm going to do, just to be on the safe side, is I'm going to put this in a solution I have for reverse electroplating. What it will do is remove all traces of copper, and if there's any nickel left or anything like that, it'll get rid of all that. Because remember, we won't be able to blue over any of that copper. We've got to remove every bit of copper. So that's what I'm going to do on that. I'm going to try reverse electroplating it for an hour or so and see if anything comes off of it. We've got nothing to lose. It's a chemical. You put it in and you hook a 6-volt battery up to it and you put an anode in, and it works really good. For stripping nickel-plated and chrome-plated guns, it works excellent. So I'm hoping it might get us somewhere on this, because I can't even explain why that metal looks like that. I mean, Maybe the nickel had peeled away, and that's how it left the, it exposed some of the metal, and the metal then got corroded. I don't know. Never seen one like this before. So, but anyway, that it can all be saved. We can save it. Just going to be a ton of filing. So there's the frame. Now I can tell you right now, by the condition of that frame and the fact that I got evidence of copper on it and the amount of pitting, there's no way this frame was the same frame that was built with this slide. Let's look at the slide for a minute now. First of all, the slide has no evidence of copper anywhere. It has no pitting on the inside like the frame does. So those two indicators tell me that this isn't a matched set. But now that I got this bead blasted, now you can see a whole lot better exactly what we're up against. You can see that graining in the metal quite nicely. That turned out really good. Just going to get a little bit closer under the light here. There we go. Okay. But now that I bead blasted that, now you can really see the pitting. I'm going to move nice and slow. Just see how bad that pitting is. It's tremendous. Tremendous pitting on the outside. Look at that. Terrible. Eating away like crazy. Got the front sight out of my way. Got no choice. We got to file the whole top of this slide. Look at all that pitting there. We barely saw that before it was bead blasted. That spot anyway. We knew that spot was there up in the front. But that right there is a bit of a surprise, that little strip of rust. No matter. We knew we had to repair it anyway, so, but just look at that. As I turn that slowly, you can just see how eaten away that is. And same on the, you see that pitting down there on that lower section. It's eaten away. Eaten away. Same with on the edge. We got some issues on the edge there. So she's going to need a little help. A few dings, a little bit of damage back there, but nothing much. A few dings and dents back there. So you can see them plain as day, especially as I turn it. You can see the dents in the metal along the edges there. Serrations look pretty good. I don't have to really do much there. Us&S markings, quite nice. No real major pit work to do in that area. A little bit. You can just see very fine little marks, but it won't take much. I don't want to disturb. You see a little bit of stuff right in the Us&S there. I see a pit or something right there. Right there. So, but rest of it's not bad. Not too bad at all. You can see that heavy graining I talked about earlier. You can see it now quite well. So we'll be duplicating that. That line's nice and sharp. No problem there. There's that pitting again from a slightly different angle. So, look at that. Terrible. So anyway, we got our work cut out for us. Ding there, another little ding there. There's the P, the proof fire mark. Ding there, ding there. That edge, you can see that edge is a little bit damaged. So, of course, that ding we talked about, and our edge there is eaten away. So, now we know what we got ahead of us. You see a few little dings around the dovetail for the sight. So, anyway, this side we talked about those. We're good back there, other than those few minor dings. Once again, serrations are pretty nice. A little bit of detail, but not bad. And then here, we saw those issues before. Not sure if I want to file them out or get weld put in there. See those pits have eaten that edge away a bit. So, it's not going to be a walk in the park on this one. This one's going to be a little more challenging, but that's okay. It's a Us&S. It's worth some money. So, If he's got to invest a little bit of money in it, well, so be it. But it's going to be pretty when she's done. So, anyway, that's all I really wanted to show you was the frame and the slide. All the other parts are, well, almost everything else is going to be replaced by checkered parts. But at least this gives you an idea of what we got, what we're up against. So, there we go. So that's our next little project. That'll keep us busy for a while. I'll keep you posted as I'm going along, and we'll see how this baby turns out. Alright. Alright, so I got this thing bead blasted, and what I assume to be just paint issues are not. They're actually, from what I can determine, old plating. This gun has been plated at one time, and what we were seeing under the paint was the roughness of the old plating. Whatever it was, nickel or chrome, and the reason I'm really sure of that now is, let me just see if I can get it up close here and get it to focus a little bit. The reason I'm so convinced now is on the inside, if we can get a good close-up here, as we can see evidence of copper. So that only tells me one thing. You can see the copper in there. If you look in there, you can see, get a pointer here, you can see the little strips of copper that have been, you know, the plating, whatever it is, has been worn away. You see those lines? You can see those lines of copper right there? And if I turn this, you can definitely see copper right there on that point, right there on that point. We can see it on the, if I turn it here, and you look carefully, get it to focus once again, you can see, I scraped it a little bit just to try and expose, but I couldn't, the plating is pretty deep, whatever it is, but you can see here where you get the bright original metal, and you get a little tiny bit of copper, little edge of copper I've exposed, and then whatever this is. So once again, if I can get up close, we can have a pretty good view of that. I'm going to there we go, getting a little bit closer now. You can see, remember how rough all that looked. I took a file. I was hoping I could file that coating off and hit some copper, but I've filed for a little bit and not hitting anything yet, so I don't want to take it down any further, but I'm just so sure now that we're looking at it, that it's definitely a plating of some type. If I go really slow, you can plainly see that coating, and you can see that it's higher than it's like built up. Where you can really see it, how thick it is right there. You can actually see that it's high, that it's like something sitting on top. You can see this. Try to get in really slow, get that to focus. You can see just how, see if I can get it to focus. See just how, see, it's all sitting on top. You can see right past the file over to try and see if I could expose some copper. There's where the old plunger tube was, and that once again verifies what I'm thinking, because you can see the difference in color now between whatever this coating is and the original steel. Because when they plated this gun, they left the plunger tube on. The plunger tube's got that same coating on it. So, but you can plainly see that some of these little issues they're high. They're on the top of the surface. You can see them there. Those are on top of the surface. Those aren't pits. Those are high. They're above the surface. It's almost like this thing was plated and maybe it didn't take or something, and they tried plating it again, or I'm not sure. It's really quite puzzling. You can see almost fish eyes. If this were paint, that would almost be like a fish eye. There's another area that I spotted earlier that definitely showed the same. Once again, if I can get my trusty camera to focus, then I can show you what I'm talking about. But anyway, so what I'm going to attempt now is I've got a reverse electroplating system. Get a good shot of that. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. I'm going to reverse electroplate this. I've got a chemical that I mix up, and I submerge the piece in the chemical, and I hook a 6-volt battery to it, and I put an anode in the solution, and it draws the plating, whatever it is, whether it's nickel, chrome, doesn't matter. You see those? They're almost like fish eyes. If this was paint, those would be fish eyes. It's almost like the plating didn't form around those little dots. That's what happens with paint. So you see, it's very strange. I've never run into this, but I don't want to try and file all that plating off of there, because if you leave even a tiny microscopic bit, or if you leave any copper behind, then we won't be able to blue this. Or if it were being parkerized, it wouldn't parkerize either. Once again, if you get up close, you can see that that stuff is like on the surface. It's not really a pit. You can see they're like little chunks and pieces. So if I can successfully reverse electroplate this, it will lift all that off and the copper and leave just, you know, the parent metal behind. Then we get a true idea of what this thing is. Just look at that. That's absolutely just horrendous. Like I say, I thought that was just in the paint. I thought if I bead blasted it would get rid of that scummy paint that they had painted over and over and over, and we'd have parent metal. It might have been pitted. I couldn't tell you what it would have looked like, but as I say, I bead blasted this, and now this is what we've got. So we didn't gain much. We got the paint off of it, but we still have this. Still got this problem to deal with. So we're going to try the reverse electroplating and just see what happens. So, but she's pretty scary looking, but that's all right. We'll fix her. We'll fix her. You can see them copper. Yeah, you can see that pretty plain now. You see those little strips of where the copper's been exposed. So I'll go ahead and get this in the tank of stripper, and we'll see if we can take that stuff off of there, and hopefully make this thing look a little bit better again. So I'll go ahead and get that done, and I'll get back to you, and we'll see just what we can do, and see if we can make this thing look decent. All right, stay tuned. Well, I went ahead and I attempted my reverse electroplating. In fact, I did it twice, because I did it one time and it didn't really look like it had done anything. So I did it a second time. I made up a fresh batch and did it again, and it still didn't look much different. So I thought, just to answer a question, I'm going to try something. So I sent it out and had it blued. I had it black oxided. Didn't do any metal work, nothing, didn't repair anything, nothing. Just reposition this camera a little bit. Alright, that's a little better. I didn't do a thing to it. I just bead blasted it and sent it out and had it black oxided. My theory was that if there's any remnants of bluing, nickeling or chrome or copper or any odd things, the black oxide will not take. And we know that for a fact. And yet it took everywhere. There's no evidence, no remnants of anything, no nickel, copper, nothing. Took black oxide everywhere. Now it's still rough, as you can see. It's still got those funny issues. You can see that back there where that still, it all looks high. That's the part that keeps confusing me. Is this stuff is definitely above the surface. I mean, I could feel it with the point of my pointer here, that it's all above that surface. So it's just strange. I've never run into it before, but I'm confident now that there is no plating left on this gun. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to repair it as I normally would. Just going to file it, file all the metal nice and smooth, get rid of all these pits and all this roughness, and get on this particular job, of course, we're going to have to get most of the markings re-engraved. We knew that going in. That serial number is looking pretty good. That's nice and deep, so I shouldn't bugger that up too badly. But the United States, I mean, you can't even read United anymore. In States, you can see that big pit right above the S. So you know we're going to be doing a fair bit of filing, and then it looks like that old SA, maybe Springfield Armory rebuild mark right there. Anyway, all this stuff's going to be destroyed in the cleanup. So unfortunate, but it's the price we got to pay for rust. So I'm going to go ahead and start on this. This is one I'm really eager to do. It's always a treat to do Us&S's. They're so rare, and I'm kind of honored that I get the opportunity to work on them. And we'll progress on this one and see what we can do. We've located most of the parts that we need for it now, and so this plating mystery was a big problem. It had me stumped. So, but now I'm confident that there's nothing on this gun. She's ready to go. So the customer's indicated to me he's not too concerned about the finish on the inside there, because I pointed out to him how rough some of that inside area is down in there, and you know, we got those edges. It's kind of hard to see now that I get under the light a little bit better. It was pretty rough, and you're not really going to be able to see it very well, but these edges on the inside, right along this edge here, right along this edge here, where the mainspring housing is going to slide in. I mean, it's not going to be noticeable anyway, but it just bothers me. I don't like to leave, even the inside, I don't like to leave it looking too bad. But you can just see there, even with the new black oxide on there, just how terrible of a finish that is. So, boy, if this one could talk, what could it tell us? But it can't, so I guess we can only assume. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started on that, and I'll keep you in the loop. Okay? So good. We've crossed another threshold on this one, and hopefully we can make it look pretty nice. All right. So I started filing on this frame now, and yeah, everything's coming out nice. You know, you can still see there's a few low spots in here where the file hasn't touched it. One thing nice about setting it out for that black oxide is now any low spot just jumps out at me. So you can see the, you know, you can still read the 1911 A1 U.S. Army, but it's getting so weak that I'm better to just eliminate it, and then we'll just have new markings engraved. You can't really even see the SA anymore, the Springfield Army rebuild mark. And of course, United States property, that's so weak. I'm trying to save that serial number, but so we still got a little more filing to do around, especially around the mag release. I'm not going to get crazy concerned about some of this stuff that's going to be hidden by the grip. I'm not overly concerned about that. I mean, I've got to get all this out because that's about where the grip, edge of the grip's going to be, or whatever. That might still be a little noticeable. So, but it's coming along anyway. Just got this one side. I've only been working on this one side, and only for a few minutes. So we have more to go. But I just wanted you to get a little look at it. I haven't touched anything else. Everything else is still got that black oxide. But I'm going to be curious to see what happens when I start filing all this, what I'm going to find. So, but anyway, she's coming right along, and we'll check back in another little bit and see how it's coming. All right. So the entire right side completely filed now on this Us&S. I just started at one end and worked my way right down to the other, but I got all the pits out, other than there's got a little tiny bit of something right there, but it's very minor. I don't really want to take any more off of there. That's where the old nomenclature used to be, up in here and in here. So I got it all off. I've saved the serial number, so I don't want to go any further. When the new lettering gets burned in there, it'll fall right into that place. you won't even notice it. But this side is nice. I'm not worried about here. The grip's going to cover all this. So we got everything looking good. It was nice to get the black oxide because it almost worked like a primer. So any little spots that there may be the odd stray pit jump right out at you because the black stays in that little pit. So this is a really nice way to do it. I mean, I had no choice. I had to verify that all the old plating was gone. So I got this side done. I'm going to start on this side now. Get all that mess cleaned up, and we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you posted. So I've been filing for a while on the left now, and so you can plainly see where the file has touched and where it hasn't touched. Like I say, that black oxide was a good idea. It really gives me a great indicator, even easier to see than bare metal, that's for sure. So I'm not going to miss anything with this type of a procedure. So you can see a little bit where where the old plunger tube used to be, and how it's still we're low right here. The file hasn't touched it, so I need to take a little more material out of this whole area and bring it down another thou or two, and then the file will be able to touch all this. And down in here, the file hasn't really done much yet here, so I got to take all this down a little bit. So once I take all this down, the file will start reaching over here. Just a thou or two here and there, but then we got just a little bit of something going on here and here I haven't reached yet either. So, but we're getting there. This was just a few minutes of preliminary filing, so we'll get this done, and once I get all this showing where the file's touched it all, then we'll come back and have a quick look at it. So anyway, we're making progress. This is at Us&S, so eager to get this one done. But anyway, I'll keep you posted. Alright, so we've got both sides filed now, and I'm happy. We've got all the pitting out. There's no issues. All that crappy old coating, whatever it was, is all nice and level now. Got one little spot where the file hasn't touched it here, but the grip completely covers that. Just that edge, just that very little edge is going to show. So that's exactly what I wanted, exactly what I needed. As long as we got a little bit of this edge that shows, that's fine. So now I've started. We got both sides done. They look good. Like I say, we're going to have to re-engrave all the markings anyway over here, so that's no big deal. But I was able to save the serial number. That came out good. So the sides are real nice. I'm happy. They're dead straight. Just got to polish them now, just get the file marks out. But I've started on some of the curved areas now, and I've got the I started on the bottom of the trigger guard a little bit, got some of that pitting out, and then I've been working on here. Just got to be careful. Just got to make sure. In fact, you can see how this line goes downhill a little bit. So in the process of filing this, I'm going to straighten that. I'm going to make that line straight. This side I've already done. You can see now where that's nice and straight and even. The distance right here on this flat is the same all the way across now. So this dimension right here is the same as dimension right here. So, but it just takes careful filing. You just got to be careful not to deface that line. So you can see where I just have barely come in contact with the black oxide there. So I'll keep working on this area and get that radius nice. Keep working on the trigger guard. So it's just all these curved areas now that we got to work on. All the flats are done, so we're coming right along. Not sure if I'm going to do anything in these hollows yet. I'll look at an original Us&S, a better one, and see what they look like. So I don't want to really recut those. I think they're going to be good enough, but I'll double check. So anyway, we're coming a little further down the line. So we'll let you see it in a little while. Alright, so we're a little further along on our Us&S, so been working on these curved areas, so I got that quite nice. You got to maintain this line. This line had lost all of its identity, so it was pretty dull. So we got that sharpened up pretty good, and we got it, running nice and straight, so it's the same all the way along. We got all around in there. So all that pitting, all that roughness is gone. Once again, we got that line nice. We got that. You can see now just how sharp this line is again. So just got to be careful. And I've been working in here, so I got that good. But once again, you got to be careful of that line right there. You can't knock that line off, and you can't dig into the side of the trigger guard either. So got to be careful in that little spot. But everything was pitted. Every inch of this thing has got pits in it. So there's nothing that I can ignore. Everything has to be filed. And then when you do this, you got to make sure that the angle here, you don't want to change the angle. Both these have a matching angle. So if you take too much material off this face or too much off of this face, you're going to change that angle. I got all that trigger guard nice, and I worked on the one side, so we got that good. So we got this line in here nice and sharp, so this little area is nice and flat. All the pits are gone. We got all the side here done, working away around there. Now I just started working on that grip strap area, and you can see all the pitting. You can see just how rough that is. All the little pits where the file hasn't touched it, so that's got to be taken down a couple thou. But once again, you got to be so bloody careful that you create a nice sharp line. You've got to create a nice sharp line here, and it has to follow the grip, so the same amount of frame has to show outside the edge of the grip. If you move this line over this way or over this way, it's going to look funny when the grip goes back on. So you got to make sure that that's all maintained. So it's coming along pretty good now. Once again, just got to be careful and work in this area and make sure that line stays nice and sharp. But it's tedious, but it's coming. Like I say, I haven't made up my mind yet what to do with these cutouts. They may look fine. This line here is not razor sharp right now. As you can see, the file didn't touch it from when I filed the side. I should have been able to reach that. I've had this problem before on other 45s, so maybe it's something in the machining. When they machine them, they remove a little bit of material in there and make it low. I don't know, but I can straighten that out. We'll get that detailed out pretty nice. But overall, it's coming. It's just a slow and steady process. So I'll work a little bit more on it. I'll get that grip strap looking good, and we'll see how she looks. All right. So anyway, that's it for now. So we've been working away on our Us&S, and as I showed you before, we've got the right side all done, looks good. Left side's all done, looks good. I just wanted to verify a couple things too. I've got the grips here, and I want to make sure that they fit good. Last time you saw, I hadn't done anything with that grip strap, so I've gone ahead and I've worked on that, filed all those pits out. And once again, as I said earlier, you got to be really careful as you're coming around the side here and you're filing away material here, that if you stray over too far, you're going to move this line over, and you can't move that line over because then it's going to look funny on the grip area. Also back here, well, I worked on here. I got that that was all pitted, so I just worked on that a bit. I still got to polish it, and then I did all this edge here. Once again, that's critical. You got to keep it the right amount, because once again, if you stray over, then you take away from that line, and it looks funny on the grip area. You can see with just a little bit of hints of black oxide that are still evident on the edge of that line. So you can see that I've been very careful and not strayed over very much into that area. So we shouldn't have defaced anything. But so we got that all looking real nice in there. All that around that trigger guard is all really good. All that pitting is gone. All in there on that face. That's all good. So I just want to try I'm going to put a grip on and just confirm that the angle and everything is good. Let me just get this reposition my camera a little bit. Make sure that we got our grip. Okay, so that's exactly. It's right where that grip's going to go. So, as we can see, we've maintained that the proper amount of frame. That bit of frame that's showing right here beside the grip is consistent all the way down. So we've maintained this line. We didn't alter this line because that would change this, the amount of frame showing beyond that grip. So, they get them pretty close at the factory when they built them. So, same way on this side. We've got to make sure that we maintain the same amount of frame showing. Well, I just moved the grip over, but you know what I'm getting at. So, that's really good. Let me just get that back in the right spot again. I just want to confirm that everything is right where it should be. Yeah, so I can see, that dimension there is really, really good all the way down. It's staying the same all the way down. It hasn't changed one bit. so that's good. So I'm happy with that. Yeah, it's looking real good. So she's coming right along. Let's just check the other side just to make sure. The same thing. Got the same thing we got to watch for here. Is we can't, we can't move this line over when we're filing this little face. And this was all pitted, so that had to all be filed. But you just got to be careful you can't stray over too far. And you can see little remnants, just little hints of the black oxide still on those on those lines there, little traces. So that tells me, see, little bits, so that tells me that I didn't stray over. Remember, I still got to polish this, so I'm going to be taking another little tiny bit of material off when I polish. So I've got to make sure that I don't alter anything. I'm just going to make sure that this is in the exactly the right spot. Beautiful. And once again, if we look, we can see that we got the exact right amount of material. Starting right about here, that line straightens out and runs straight down. So we get the same, roughly 1/8 of an inch of frame showing beyond the edge of that grip, and the same on this side. Same thing here, right when that line starts to straighten out right in here, and we got a consistent about 1/8 of an inch of material showing. And once again, I got little tiny bits of black oxide still on the original edge. So that's kind of an indicator for me. So we're really getting close now. Don't have too much more time on this one, and we'll have it ready. So I'm eager to get this done, and then we're going to jump on the slide. The slide needs a little bit of work. So, but this is looking really good. I'm real happy. So it's going to be a little bit of polishing yet after I'm done filing, but that's okay. That's all part of the process. But I'm happy. Just curious. This is, puzzled me a little bit as to why the file never did touch this. It's almost like the metal is either bent a little bit, but yet the mainspring housing slides right up in there perfect. The mag fits in there perfect. So it doesn't. I don't think anything's bent, but maybe if this thing had been buffed before it got plated, if they stayed in that area a little bit too long, that buffing wheel could have taken a little bit of meat out of there, and that's why the file's not picking it up. But like I say, it's not important. Not important at all, because the grip hides that 100%. 100%. If I put that grip back where it should be, it's about where it's going to go. You don't see any of that black. None of it at all. So it's all hidden. That low spot's going to be completely hidden under the grip. And once this is all re-blued and everything, you'll never even see that that's a slight low spot. But just one of those mysteries we don't have an answer for. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and keep on filing, and we'll see what she looks like in a little bit. Alright. So that's it. I'm done filing the frame. We've got all the major areas that were pitted from all the old plating or whatever was on there. Everything is filed. All the edges are done. Squared up the bottom. It was pitting virtually everywhere. Not really well pitting, but just that rough finish from like an old plating job or something. So now in here inside the trigger guard, I'm going to polish those marks out with more or less like a Dremel with some 100 grit paper on there on a little drum, and I'll get in there and get those inside pits done in there. And same in these little cutouts here. So I compared this to an original Us&S frame, another one. And those cutouts they're nice. They just got a minor bit of pitting in them, not bad. So I just got to go in and clean them up a bit. And all this other stuff I'll just take care of in all the polishing. I still got to polish all this now. So, and then it goes out and gets all the new nomenclature put in. So anyway, that's it for filing. No more filing on this frame. A little bit more metal work, but no more filing. So she's looking good. Everything's looking really nice now. So we're getting her back to her former beauty. So anyway, there she is for now, and next time you see it, I'll be already polishing it. Alright. Alright, so we've started on our slide a little bit in this Us&S, and you can see, if you remember the pitting that was up there on the top, I've started filing it, and well, we're getting close. We've just got a few minor tiny bits of pitting left, but not bad. We just about got it out of there. A few more passes with a file. we'll have that out. We got the little ding we got to take care of right there. And you can see I've maintained a nice straight line. It's critical that that line be straight. And if I take too much off the top, it'll lower that line. Now, I can always raise it again by taking a little bit of material off the side, which I'm going to have to do a little bit of work on the side because I got that pit right there I'm going to try to get out. Remember, I don't want to do any welding on this slide because if I get it welded, I should get it annealed afterwards. And if I get it annealed, we're going to lose the two-toning. And you can see, even without any finish on here, you can see the two-toning right there, how light and dark that is. Now mind you, when that gets parkerized or blued, it's going to be the other way around. This will be darker and this will be lighter. But you can plainly see, probably even on the other side. Well, you can't see it as noticeable on the other side, the two-toning. But anyway, yeah, you can. You can see the line. You can see the line right there on this side, there to there, and even on this side, you can see it again from there to there. So interesting, even in the bare metal, that it shows up like that. So I'll keep plugging away on these pits, and we should be able to get those out of there in short order. A few more passes with a file, and we'll get them out of there. We'll just keep working our way around the top. You know, we got some pretty hefty ones here that the file just starting to touch. I'm going to have to get into here and get all these out of there. But it's coming along good. These pits aren't too awful deep, so we should be able to get them out of there. We got that ding there we got to deal with, but that might not be too big of a problem right there. A couple other little marks, but anyway, it's all coming out. And if you look really close, you can see the graining in the metal on the top of the slide runs in the opposite direction. On the side, the graining runs front to back, and it's a fairly heavy graining. You might be able to see it better on this side. You can see that graining there in the metal. You see it? You can see the lines going front to rear. So the top has got graining too, but it runs the other way. It runs side to side. All these scratches, all the grinder marks run this way. So when I refinish it, I'll make sure I have to duplicate that the same way. So anyway, but it's coming along really good, and we'll just keep plugging away, and I'll keep you posted as I'm going along. But we're making good progress already. So we'll check back in a little bit. Alright, so we've been filing a while now, and we've pretty much got that side of the upper part of the slide done. If you remember all those pits that were in there, were just all kinds of nice deep pits. Well, now we're down to just tiny microscopic, you just see them along the very edge of that line. They're very, very minor now, almost gone. By the time I'm done polishing, I'll take another thou off maybe. I should have those, I should reach the bottom of those pits. I don't want to file anymore if I don't have to. I'm maintaining a nice straight line here, but at least we're getting all the pits out. We've got all this nice and square and straight again here. One little tiny spot that the file's not hitting on the back of the ejection port, but I'm not too concerned about that. Once I polish all this, you won't notice that anymore. I got that little ding that was there on the edge of the ejection port. I got that out. So basically that half, like I say, that half is done, and it's looking really, really good. I'm real happy with the finished product there. Looks good. The side is pretty nice. You know, I got that one pit down there, but I hit it with a file here. File slipped, but minor detail. So now I'll start working on this side and get those pits out of there. So, and before too long, we should have the whole top of this slide done. So, anyway, I'll keep you posted. All right. Alright, so we've got the top of this Us&S slide completely filed now. There's no more pits. We've kind of lost the P. That P is getting pretty weak now. Right there. Not much left of that P. It's actually stamped upside down from the factory. There's what's kind of left of it, the P. And we still got our rear sight alignment mark right there. But we might lose that by the time I'm done polishing. Same with that. That little ding that was right there, still see it. It's still fighting me a little bit. I just about got it out, but my main concern here was all the pitting. Remember how bad that was pitted. So now you can see that she's Very clean. No pitting at all. Zero. No pitting at all. So we got down. The pits weren't too deep. I mean, there were quite a few of them, but they weren't too deep, thank goodness. So just need to clean up a little bit around the ejection port. I got that one little ding that was at the front of the ejection port. I got that. But all the pits are gone, both sides. There was a bit of deformity around that rear dovetail. That's all been straightened out now. Just that ding is the only thing that I don't like, but we'll see. We're not done yet. So, but everything else came out nice. Remember all the pitting that was there, and all the pitting I started on that side right there. So that's all gone now. She's beautiful. I kept that line nice and straight. Now, there's just the minorest amount of pitting. You can see it here. A little tiny bit right here. There, and a little bit, you know. So I'm going to have to get this side, file this side just a little bit. Not bad. Just a hair. I got to get that ding out of there anyway, so I do have to file this side a little bit. The other side is pretty nice. We don't really have any issues. We got no pitting going up, you know, near that line there where it meets the top. That's all good. So I'll just check this side over. I see there's a couple minor dings there, but we'll get this straightened up. But we're all coming down the home stretch on the slide. I got a few little minor dings. You can see them there the way I rotated. A few little dings to clean up on the back. And I'll check this bottom edge, make sure the edge is nice. And I still have to deal with that piece there. We've got some pitting and issues right there, but we can get all that out. I'm not worried about that. The top of the slide was my biggest concern, and it's come out very nice, so I'm real happy with that. So I'll go ahead and keep working on it. I'll get the sides done, and I'll basically file this whole thing, and I'll come back and show you what she looks like just before it's ready to be polished. But you see there's still a few little minor issues along the side, along the edge there we got to deal with, but not bad. And a little tiny bit of serration work, but once again, not very bad at all. So anyway, we will keep you posted as we move along. All right. Thanks a lot. We'll see what she looks like shortly. So I got all the filing done on the frame. I went over and I cleaned up those serrations just a little bit. Not much, just they didn't need much. I just touched them up a little bit. And I went in on the side here. Now we've got to be a little bit careful because we've got all that nomenclature. And if I move really, really slowly, you might be able to see that there's still tiny, tiny bits of pitting. See them? But I'm not worried about that because I have to put that graining back in. You see, I've eliminated quite a bit of that graining, especially up at the front. It's a lot of dings to file out. So, and I want it to be easy where the nomenclature is. I don't want to ruin this nomenclature. So we've still got some graining in there. You can see it. But there's also a little tiny bit of pitting. Can you see it? Just in there. So I'm just going to go over it with my graining tool and just give it the brushed finish, and I'm sure that will get rid of that pitting. I don't want to file any more material away. I'm sure that by the time I'm done graining this, there won't be any more pitting. So the sides are nice. I maintained that line so the line's nice and straight. Line's not moving up or down or wobbling. The top's all done. That looks good. This side, same thing. I just touched up those serrations just the slightest little bit. You can still see there's a tiny couple little minor dings in there. But like I said, I don't want to get any welding done to this frame. So we'll file out what we can and what we can't. And that little ding or that little pit that was right there is so close to being eliminated that I'm pretty sure I can get rid of it in the polishing stage. And if not, I'll just try with the graining. I think the graining we can pretty much disguise it. So just don't want to take any more meat off this thing. So basically I'm pretty happy. Everything's looking good. I went around the front, cleaned up all the front. Anything that's left will come out in the polishing stage. I filed out all the pits that were in here. A little mark there, but it's not a pit. I don't know what that is. A little mark. Alright, I'll have to hit that with a file. But anyway, basically that's it. You see this side is nice and straight too. So I did the back end. The back end had a few little issues, dings and dents. So we got all that out. But once again, everything needs to be filed or polished. So it looks a little rough right now, but that's all right. It'll look fine. So we're going to get busy with the polishing. First thing I want to do, actually, is try this to the frame and make sure that the that they both line up at the back end, that the extractor doesn't stick out too far, and things like that. So I'm going to give the pistol a rudimentary assembly and see what she looks like. Alright. Well, there we go. That looked a little bit better. With the frame and the slide all filed now. And as we can see on the back, they line up quite nicely. Just a little bit. There we go. Okay. So they line up quite nicely. Extractor's in a little bit. Not sure if I'll bother to fix that or change that. I'm not taking meat off the back of the slide to make that fit. I'm sure we had inconsistencies right from the word go during the war. But pitting was my biggest concern, and as I said earlier, we got a little bit still in the slide right up where the lettering is. You can see a little tiny bit, but we'll get that out in the graining process. But everything else is good. Everything else is nice. All the edges are sharp. All the serrations are nice and sharp again. Everything, every edge is nice and razor sharp again. You can just feel how nice everything feels now. So it's nice. It's like handling a brand new pistol just been machined. We kept our lines nice and straight. So overall, she's coming along real good now. I'm real happy. So now it's just a polishing. We'll get into the polishing of it, and then we can send it out and get it. Well, I'm not going to polish it too far. I'll take it to about 100 grit, and I'll send it out and get it laser engraved. And if it comes back, I got to clean that up a little bit anyway. So that's when I'll do my final polishing. I'll take it up to around 200 or so on this pistol. It's going to get bead blasted and black oxided, so it doesn't have to be show bluing. It'll be like similar to that. Well, not even quite as nice as that Garand I just finished. So, but you'll see the graining on the side. That'll bring it up a little bit. That'll make it a little shinier. But overall, I'm coming right along. I saved that serial number pretty well. Got those few minor little marks, but I'm pretty sure we can get rid of all of them in not only the polishing process but in the lasering process. So I'm trying not to take any more meat than I have to off of this thing. So anyway, so that's that for that. I'm happy. That turned out real good, and we'll go ahead and get that polished, and we'll see what she looks like. I just wanted to have a look and see how we're making out on the frame here. I've been working away on the frame, and last time you saw it, I believe it was all filed. So now I've started to polish the file marks out, just using emery cloth of different grits, on blocks or sometimes on a curved piece, depending on where I'm working. So basically the sides are done. All the sides are nice. There's no more pitting whatsoever. It's just beautiful. I got all the pitting out. I got that finger cut out in there. I just cleaned that up a little bit. Basically, the dust cover's all done. There's just a few odd file marks still that I don't quite have out yet. And I got the trigger guard basically done, and just working on the grip strap. So that's getting close. That's almost done. This side's all done. We were able to save the serial number. I mean, that 6 is getting a little, or sorry, that 0 is getting a little weak there, but now I got just the slightest bit of remnant of either a pit or possibly old lettering right there. But the new lettering is going to go right there, so I'm banking that we're going to hide that. But everything else is gone, all the pitting. There's one little tiny dot right there. I just don't want to take any more meat out. But I'm sure we can live with that little spot. Everything else is coming along nice. I've gone in and refiled basically everything like I usually do, just to get all the edges nice and sharp again, because these lines were all faded, and now everything is, you can just feel how sharp everything is again, you know what I mean? So it's nice. I cleaned that cutout up a little bit, and basically, like I say, I got the trigger guard done, and I'm just working my way around on the inside, on the upper part of that trigger guard there. I got a few marks I want to clean out up in there, but and on this side I haven't. You can see where there's still some black oxide when I sent this thing in and had it black oxided, so you can tell the spots that I haven't touched yet. So I'm just slowly working my way, you know, piece by piece. You notice I haven't done those two curved areas on either side yet, right in here. That's you know, that's a delicate little area that takes some special file work. So I'm saving that kind of till last. But everything else is coming along good. I just wanted to have a quick look and see, you know, how it's coming along. But you can see everything's nice and sharp again, and all the pitting is gone. So I'm happy about that. This one had me a little worried at first. This was a real rough one. So they don't normally come in that bad, but I think we're making it look pretty good now. I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to just going to go get the slide, and we'll see how that slide looks. I got it all polished out, and it's ready for its next stage. So anyway, I'm going to go get that, and we'll see what that looks like. All right, and here's our slide for the Us&S now that we've got it all polished. I mean, this didn't have any terrible issues. It had some pitting on the top, was the worst of it. The sides weren't too bad, so you know, they didn't need much. There was one really bad, deep gouge or pit or something right there, and I've filed and I've taken, you know, about as much meat away. Get up close, you can see it. I mean, I wish it wasn't there, but I do not want to get this welded. See, it's right there. I just don't want to get this welded. If we get it welded, then it has to be annealed, and then we lose the two-toning. And I can't live with myself. I don't want to lose the two-toning. So we're going to live with that tiny little pit. The customer's happy with that. He'll live with that. So we did around the back end. Back end had a few dings and dents, and so that all looks nice now. Got all our lines nice and sharp. I see a little spot right there. Yeah, okay, I got one little spot right there I got to work on. But I got all the pitting out of the side. That looks good. You remember, it had just a bit of pitting on the side, not too horrible, but you can see we pretty much got that out. Very close now. Any odd stray little scratch that's still in there will be gone by the time I'm done graining this. The sides of these Us&S slides had real heavy graining. I showed you that before we even started. So I still have to put that in. In fact, on this back end piece, I haven't really spent any time back there. There was no pitting, so I didn't worry about you know, that heavy graining. I kind of left it in there because I'm going to be going back over it again anyway. But I will get this corner dressed up and cleaned up first before I do that. I guess that's why I overlooked that, is because I wasn't spending any time at all back here. So anyway, we're going to get the P. It's upside down. They stamp them weird on these Us&S's. They always seem to be kind of upside down or sideways. Anyway, that P, I'm going to get that redone by the laser, and probably that rear sight centering mark. But and the top's going to get a heavy graining too. Now on the top, the graining goes the other way. It runs back and forth. So that's still got to be done. So both sides need the heavy graining horizontally. You can still see some of the original heavy graining here on that very back section there. But if I move this up close, you should be able to see that. Yeah, you can see that. So, and once again, we got a couple minor dings in the serrations, but once again, we don't want to have to add any weld, because the weld will stand out, because we can't anneal it and reharden it afterwards. It'll take the two-toning away. It's hard to see it in this light, but you can actually still see it right in the raw metal. You can see the two-tone. Yeah, I can see it with my eye. I don't know if you, yeah, you can see it. You can see it there, all right. You can see the differentiation from there to there. You can see it. You say it's hard to see, but anyway, I don't want to lose that. After it's re-blued, that'll be much more pronounced. So anyway, I went all in here and cleaned up. I have a few little marks and dings, so I got those all cleaned up. So once again, all the edges are absolutely razor sharp. All the lines are nice and straight. So no issues now. The lettering is beautiful. I didn't disturb the lettering hardly at all. I had to get in there a little bit. It had some pitting in there, so I had to get in there a little bit. But I didn't deface the lettering very much at all. So I try not to, but sometimes, you know. But everything else, you remember how badly pitted that was? It had some just terrible deep pits in it. But I was able to file everything out. Like I said, that gets a heavy graining in it yet, so I'm not too concerned about any minor odd little scratches. So anyway, we got all that pitting out. Everything is on. She looks really good. I'm real happy now. Cleaned up all around the ejection port, refiled, and cleaned up all that so all the edges are nice and sharp again. There's one little, just slightest bit of a ding, little tiny one right there. But once again, customer's willing to live with it. I don't want to really take any more meat off that ejection port. So, but overall, I mean, we took it from what it was to, you know, at least it's got to be a good, you know, 95, 97% now. I cleaned up those serrations, you know, refiled them a bit. Not too much, not as heavy as I normally do, but just to try and sharpen them back up, and they are definitely nice and sharp again now. So they look good, they look even. I didn't take all the original bluing or parkerizing off of them. That's why they're not quite as shiny as the rest of it. But because I just cleaned them up lightly with the file. So, but anyway, so I'm just got to address this corner back here, that spot right there, and everything else is good to go. And then we'll send it in and we'll get that engraved, that P, and that lineup mark, and then on the frame we'll get the I think it said United States property, something like that, and then 1911 A1 U.S. Army in here. So the serial number, well, I mean, I saved it. That 0 is a little weak, but I don't think we're going to get that re-engraved. So, and then what else do we need? Oh, we're going to need the, there's a very light inspector's stamp. It's going to go probably, I think right in here somewhere. I've got an original Us&S here right now for restoration that I can go by. And then there's a P, another proof mark will go in here somewhere. Other than that, no more engraving. So we're coming down the line. Actually, it's not too far away from being done. All the small parts are good to go. They just need to be bead blasted and blued. I'm going to get this all black oxided. So anyway, there she is. She's coming along. She's not quite done yet, but looking pretty good. A lot better than it was, you know, when it first came in and we had all that horrible metal. We didn't know what the hell the problem was, but so she's looking a lot better now. So I'm happy. Anyway, I'll let you see it just before it goes in for the bluing. That's or the engraving actually. I'll have all the metal work done, and we'll let you have a look at it. All right. All right. So we got all our polishing done on our frame now. So it's been filed. It's been polished. So I'm real happy with how that looks. Like I say, unfortunately, we had to lose the nomenclature on the side there, but that couldn't be avoided. We got to get rid of those pits. So got rid of all the pitting, you know, other than a couple little, like I say, tiny spots right there, which will be hidden by the new nomenclature. We saved the serial number. All our lines, you can see all our lines are nice and sharp. There's virtually zero pitting. Well, the only pitting is a little bit right here, and that's hidden by the grip 100%, so I'm not going to worry about that. But everything else is good. All the lines are nice and sharp. Went back in and cleaned these up a bit. I went in all around trigger guard. So everything is done. Everything is nice and sharp again. All our edges are really sharp, so no matter where you feel, it's just like a new pistol. So happy with that. No more file marks anywhere, just 100 grit scratches. So I'm going to bead blast this frame now, and I'm going to go over it real quick with some 180 just to get rid of, in case those 100 grit scratches may show. So, but other than that, I'm happy. So she really looks good. She's come a long way. But you can see there's just zero pitting now. Nothing at all. Just as nice as we could ask for. So, tiny bit thinner than she used to be, but not bad. So I'm quite happy with that. That looks really good. So we're almost getting ready to send it in for the engraving. and then we get her black oxide. So this one's not, not too awful far away. Just want to put this slide together. So there we go. So she's looking pretty sweet. I'm kind of happy with that. It's a rare piece, and we've made it look pretty good again. So we'll get that sent out, get that done, and I'm going to bead blast it for right now, and then we'll see what she looks like. All right. So we've got our Us&S frame completely polished now. So I had taken it to 100 grit just to get all the file marks out. Then I gave it a gentle bead blast, and I went over it again now with 180. So 180 is giving me the finish I want. It's still going to be bead blasted one more time and then sent out for black oxide, but you can see quite well now that everywhere that there was pitting, and you remember how badly pitted this thing was, pitting is virtually gone. There is nothing left. Got everything out of it that concerns me. I mean, there's a few little minor, a couple little bit of activity going on right here, but that'll all be hidden by the grip, so I'm not too concerned with that. Got in all around the trigger guard and grip strap, so everything looks good now. There's virtually zero pitting. I went in and I cleaned up the cutouts just a little tiny bit, trying to sharpen them up because the lines were getting kind of dull. So you can see all these lines now. I've cleaned them all up, sharpened them all up. Everything now, when you feel it, every line is nice and sharp. No matter where I feel, you know what I mean. You can just feel how nice and sharp everything is. So that's going to look good. I'm real happy with that. So we should have a happy customer on our hands. So the slide is done. Well, I got to grain the slide, sorry, but the metal finishing is all done now. I just got to grain the slide. So I'm just going to do that, and I'll put the slide and the frame together, and that'll be it. That'll be the last time you'll see it until it gets laser engraved. And we'll go ahead and we'll get the markings put back in that used to be up in here, the 1911 A1 U.S. Army and U.S. government property or whatever it was. So it's looking good. It's really coming down the line nicely now. So I'll go ahead and get the slide grained, and I'll put the two together for one last look. So we'll see what she looks like. Alright, so we've got our slide finished. We have the graining. Obviously we got all the pitting and everything done. I put the heavy grain on the side, as you can see. So that gave it a nice bit of texture, just like original. Now the graining on the side runs horizontally from front to back, but the graining on the top of the slide runs, from left to right. So if you remember, that was all pitted. Well, now she's good. We pretty much lost the P. There's not much left of that P right there. That's pretty much gone, and you can't hardly even see the side alignment mark anymore. But we'll get those recut. Those two items will get recut. That's the only thing that's got to be done on this slide as far as engraving. We saved the Us&S very nicely. That all turned out beautiful. All the slide serrations we filed, cleaned them up. So it's got the graining, like I say, on both sides, nice heavy graining. You can see that. The line is nice and straight. We kept that nice and straight. Got a good heavy graining along the top. So I'm happy with this. That's basically done. The rest is like 180 grit, so that won't, by the time I bead blast that'll just be like a semi-gloss black. This is going to get black oxided, so, and everything gets bead blasted, so even this graining will diminish a little bit from the bead blast, but it'll still be noticeable. So now all I have to do now is install the front sight, and then I'm completely done on this slide. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and send it out and get it engraved, and let's just put that together. We got the frame here, so now let's see just how the two look now that they're totally done. So that's our Us&S. That's all the metal work completed on our Us&S. So I'm happy with that. That's pretty nice. We got good sharp lines everywhere. No more pitting. Everything's done. So that we can live with that. So we'll send this out, get it re-engraved, and bring it back. We'll get it bead blasted. We'll black oxide it. So we're getting pretty close on this one. I might just tighten that slide up just a little bit. It's a little bit loose on there. But other than that, I'm happy. We got all our issues. Everything's gone. Everything looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, send it off, and get it engraved, and we'll see what we got. All right. All right. So we got our Us&S. And we're at the point now where all the metal work is completed. I got all the pits removed. I got all the filing done. I got all the polishing done. I've got all the graining done. And we've even got the laser engraving done. So this thing's really getting close. Let's just look at this a little bit, a piece at a time, and just see how we're coming along. You can see the finish in the metal. There's zero pitting left. It's nice and straight. All the lines have been accentuated and detailed. Everything everywhere is just, you can, as I handle it, I can feel how sharp all the edges are again. So everything's looking good. Everything's dead straight. There's no issues, no dings, no pits, nothing. So this thing is going to look just gorgeous. You know, I had to make it a little thinner to get to that point, but that's okay. If that's the price we got to pay, then that's what we got to do. But everything is gone. All issues are gone. She's just superb. Looks beautiful. So, and now these engravings, that's the RCD, the standard Us&S inspector's mark right there. And right now this is just fresh from the laser, so it looks a little bit big. The lettering looks a little bit big and a little bit fuzzy, but that's only because of the burnt. You know, it got lasered, so it got burnt really. So there's a little bit of slag and burning around the edges of the letters. Once that's bead blasted and cleaned up, it's going to look like $1 million. So that's going to really look good. And you can't really notice it that much once again in this rough state, but once that's bead blasted, you'll see even the circle around the RCD is not 100% equal, because we want to duplicate the inconsistencies of a hand stamp. So that's what you're going to find, and same with that P. So that's going to look really good once it's cleaned up. And of course, here's the other side, and we got the United States property and M 1911 A1 U.S. Army. Now we had two original Us&S's to go by, so these markings are right on the money. I was trying to save that serial number, and for the most part I did, but I was having a little trouble with those 2 zeros, so I had the laser guy just go in and freshen them up a bit, so they're looking a little bit better now. I had a little trouble getting this camera to doesn't want to co-op. There we go. All right, there we go. So anyway, that looks good. So once that's all bead blasted, that'll look really good. So I'm happy with that part. Let's have a look at the slide for a minute. I was able to save all the original Us&S markings there, no problem there. There was pits and stuff in there, but we got all the pitting out. I got all the graining put back in, so that's nice heavy grain like original. Runs the other way up on top, goes back and forth. You remember all the pitting that was up in there, so that's all looking good. All the lines are nice and straight. So we didn't have to do any laser working on this side at all. Up on the top we put the P, and we put the P, you know, kind of a little bit crooked and off to the side, as a lot of them are. We did the rear lineup, centering line for the rear sight. That's burnt in there, and that's all there was on this side, on that slide, just the markings on the one side. So you can see there where I've duplicated that grain one more time. Let's have a look at that. And on the top again. So that all looks good. That's just as she was when it was new. So next operation on this, let's just put this together real quick, see what she looks like. But the next operation on this one is going to be go ahead and I guess get it black oxided. That would be the next step now. I'm going to give it a gentle glass bead blast to just soften up some of the graining marks, and some of these too. I don't want any of this to show. The frame has been, anything other than the heavy graining has been done in about 200 grit. But that might still show a little bit in the bluing, and it would be much too shiny anyway. So I'm going to bead blast this, and that way you won't see any 200 grit marks at all. It'll just be nice, smooth, basically black color. But it'll be like an eggshell finish. It won't be too shiny. And then the slide, you'll still be able to see the heavy graining in the slide even through the bead blast. But that's 100% original. That's how she should be. But she's really coming along good now, considering what a bag of what this thing was a little while ago when we started on. If you remember all the pitting and all the issues this thing had, I mean, I'm just thrilled to death with it now. I mean, a lot of hours with a file and emery cloth and stuff, but the end result, it's worth it. When they can look like this, I'm happy. I mean, when this thing is done, it's going to be It's going to be a nice nice feather in my cap, I think. But anyway, so that's how that one's coming along. So we're getting pretty close. You know, another few days or so we should be able to wrap this one up. So I'll keep you posted as I move along, but the next step will be to bead blast it and then get her black oxided. So I can't wait to see it finished. Alright. So there she goes, and that looks a little bit better. So there we go. That's the end of the line for this Us&S. This was a long, hard project. If you remember how bad this thing was when we started, it was kind of intimidating. The metal on this was the worst I've ever encountered. First I thought it was spray paint, if you remember correctly, but once we bead blasted it, you could see it. It was actually in the metal. It was actually the finish of the metal. So we got no issues now. She's nice now. No more pitting, no nothing. We got all that lettering in there. So my laser guy is really picky. If you notice just get a pointer here. If you notice, even the 1911 A1 U.S. Army is in a finer font than the serial number, for example, which is in, once again, a slightly different font than the United States property. So we've copied exactly the way it used to be. And we had another Us&S here that I haven't restored yet to go by, plus we had markings saved from an earlier Us&S I did a few years ago. So I just want you to look at that finish, how pit free, and got all the lines nice and sharp again. So everything is as it should be. You know, we didn't lose the two-toning in the slide, trigger guard, and the dust cover. Everything is just, we got all the checkered parts. Now that mainspring housing still isn't the right kind. I believe that's more like for a Colt. It's a little bit coarser. But I'm just going to change the angle of the camera a little bit. I can see a little better. There we go. Now I can see a little better. So anyway, so it's checkered like it should be. It's just a little bit coarser checkering, but it'll fill a gap for now until he can come up with the right the right mainspring housing. So it's better than it was when it was serrated. So, and all the other parts are looking good. They're as they should be, all checkered and the proper looking parts. So I put another grip safety on it, and the hammer, of course, was changed. New rear sight, new plunger tube, new mag release, new grip screws, new front sight. So, but there you have it. You can see we didn't lose any of the two-toning. You still see the two-tone in the slide there. So that was critical. I didn't want to lose that at all. So we saved all the original Us&S markings quite nicely. Let me move in here a little bit, see if we can get a good look at them. So there you go. So there's the markings. So we saved them nice. We didn't have to go in. You know, the pitting was just fairly light in there, so I didn't have to use a file too much in there, which I didn't want to, but I wanted to get rid of the pitting. No point in restoring it if you're going to leave pitting. So, and you see I put the grain back in there, so it's got a nice heavy, deep grain like it did originally. All the lines are nice and sharp. You know, I repaired all the pitting. There was a bunch of pitting in there, if you remember correctly. And the top of that slide was a fair mess. So let's wipe that dust off of there. So it's nice now. We have exactly what we were looking for. I put the graining running forwards and backwards. You should be able to see that. Yeah, there it is. So that's all as it should be. But you notice there's zero pitting. So I'm real happy with that. Very happy with that. That was a rough area to fix. And that line is dead straight, so got no issues there. I went in and refiled those serrations lightly. I didn't get too crazy, but so they're sharpened back up a bit. There's more of that graining back there. Wasn't too many issues back there. A little bit of denting on this back edge here. The back was beat up a little bit, but that's all been fixed now. I found an extractor that fit nicer. The original extractor was way deep inside and it just looked a little hokey, so I swapped it out for another extractor that fit a lot nicer. So anyway, so that's looking good. We got had that P Had that P re-stamped there. And we did it, a little bit crooked to try and simulate a hand stamp. That's done with a laser, but we didn't want it to look like a laser. Put the rear alignment sight mark back in there. There's that Us&S barrel, blued as per original, but with a higher gloss. It's not bead blasted like the rest of the pistol, so that's exactly as it should be. So once again, if you remember correctly, there was just a whack of pitting, and so that's all been taken care of. That's all gone now. You can see just how nice that all looks. Do it nice and slow. And so that graining came out really good. I'm real happy with that. So we got a little hair there. So that's that new Us&S barrel. I put a new recoil plug in the front. The original one was all worn, pitted. So this was pitted on the bottom, that slide. So I fixed all that. The pitting is all gone. And then there's that frame. You can remember just how bad that frame was in that area. So now there's zero pitting, none. There's that nomenclature from laser engraver. I have a new camera, and I notice it's extremely picky about focusing. If I move the slightest bit, it confuses it. So I'm trying to be steady, but there's that serial number. We went in and cleaned that up, redid that, United States property. So you can see just the detail of that laser work, how it's just so nice and crisp. Excellent job. Laser guys, excellent. There you can see the graining again in that. There's that little tiny when we started. Remember, there was a really bad ding right there. So that's, I was hoping to completely get rid of it, but it's just a little tiny bit. Remember, I didn't want to have any welding done to this because it would stand out like a sore thumb unless we annealed it and heat treated it. And of course, then you'd lose that two-toning. I'm trying to see if we can pick that up. It's not as noticeable. Yeah, you can see it. When you freshly oil this, it jumps out at you. It's a lot more noticeable. But I like the pistol to look kind of dry, like it's been laying around for a while. So anyway, we had the P redone, the proof right there. We had the RCD redone. Let's see if I can get a little cooperation from the camera here. There you go. So that looks good. So all the cutouts, so all that pitting that was in around the, around the trigger, everything, all the pitting is gone. All the lines are nice and sharp. I redid those cutouts. That line's nice and straight down the bottom. So she's even, she's symmetrical. So anyway, that's about the end of the line for this one. I just wanted you to have a look at it. This one was a fair challenge for me. The metalwork was terrible. It was just beyond anything I'd ever seen before as far as bad metal. As I say, I thought it was spray paint actually, but it turned out to be just some old remnants of an old plating or something. I'm not sure. I still don't actually have a full answer on that one, but bottom line is we got rid of it. She looks good now. So I think that's about it. I think for a final review, I think we'll have a happy customer on our hands. I don't see anything that would make him upset. Or I think his money was well spent. We took it from what it was, which wasn't anything too special, if you remember, to what it is now. Let me get a little closer here. So I think we did it proud. I'm pretty happy with the end result. So anyway, I'm happy to have done another Us&S. This is the second original one I've done, and I've got a third one sitting here just waiting for me to start on probably next week. Plus, I just finished a really nice clone. You'll have to see a video of the clone. That's really an interesting one. So, anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun to do this one. It was really, really challenging, but the end result is just really, really rewarding. I couldn't be happier. When I turn it like this, I'm just really rewarded with all the effort I put into it. So anyway, take care. Well, great news. We got our Us&S back from the black oxide shop. We've got all the pieces done. Everything is finished. Just got to assemble it now. I just wanted you to have a quick look at everything now that it's back from the black oxide shop. The frame was our biggest nightmare, and I just want to go into a few details here with this frame. And if you remember correctly, move away from all that other stuff there. If you remember correctly, this frame was just pitted beyond belief. Remember how bad that was? You see all the new markings that the laser engraver put in. All our lines are nice and sharp now. Got no more pitting anywhere, so I'm quite happy with that. Let's look at these markings on this side for a second. We redid the United States property, 1911, A1 U.S. Army. Just wipe that down, a little stuff on there. We went in, redid the serial number, cleaned that up a bit. So everything has been duplicated. We didn't have to do any welding on this one. It was just a matter of filing out all the pits. So if I get in real close, you can remember what this used to look like. How horrible that surface was, just pitted beyond belief. So we've got her nice now. Zero pitting anywhere. The inside's still a little bit pitted. The customer wasn't that picky about that, and it would just be too costly to go inside and repair everything as far as pitting inside. But everything else, all around the trigger guard and the finger cutouts, that dust cover, trigger guard, everything is just the grip strap. There's zero issues anymore. Just as smooth as a baby's butt. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all assembled, and we'll see what the finished product looks like.